It goes without saying that the vigilante movie genre was strong during the final few decades of the 20th century. In the 70s, there were movies like Death Wish, Dirty Harry, Get Carter, Billy Jack, and more. But it wasn't just America, because Italy and other countries also had an array of these movies. Hell, even The Punisher was influenced by the likes of Dirty Harry and Death Wish. It's safe to say that the concept and theme of vigilantism and revenge in movies resonated quite a bit with audiences. The genre continued to stay strong throughout the 80s and 90s with film and TV alike, and it's still very popular to this day. Hell, even I decided to take a crack at a vigilante story at one point. I could cover a well-known vigilante movie, but I decided that I would rather save those for later. The movie I chose to review today is a little movie called Keeper of the City. Or in Germany, it's apparently known as Lethal Justice. Not to be confused with This Lethal Justice, or This Lethal Justice. Keeper of the City is a made-for-television movie that aired on Showtime back in 1992, and it was directed by Bobby Roth. Now, I had never heard of this guy, but going through his IMDb page, he's been pretty prevalent in the world of TV, having directed several made-for-TV movies as well as an episode of Miami Vice, and a few episodes of shows like Lost, Grey's Anatomy, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's good to know that this guy has had a busy career. The movie was written by Gerald DePego, who also wrote the novel that the movie is based on. DePego also wrote The Trial of the Incredible Hulk as well as The Death of the Incredible Hulk. The plot of the movie is that a killer is murdering mob bosses all over the city of Chicago, and Lieutenant James Della is put on the case to find the culprit and put a stop to the killings. Lou Gossett Jr. plays Della, and wait a second. A movie where Lou Gossett Jr. plays a cop who is hunting down a vigilante that's murdering mob bosses. Why am I getting a strange sense of deja vu? It's probably nothing. The movie has a supporting cast consisting of Anthony LaPaglia as Vince Benedetto, a family man whose father had mafia connections. There's also Peter Coyote as Frank Nordhall, a reporter who has his head way too far up his ass for his own good. Also in the cast are Renee Sutendiek as Vicky Benedetto, Vince's wife, as well as Tony Todd as Bridger, a fellow cop of Della's. Della is a determined and hard-working man who simply wants to do the right thing. He's fairly understanding and bonds with the Benedetto family as he's looking into the case. Though I will admit, he isn't that strong of a lead character. Don't get me wrong, I don't dislike Della, and Gossett does a fantastic job of portraying him, but I feel like in terms of character, he's on the less interesting side. I think the two most interesting characters in this movie are Vince Benedetto and Frank Nordhall. Spoiler alert, but Vince is the one murdering all of the mob bosses. As stated previously, his father had mob connections and he absolutely resented that, and getting rid of the organized crime is essentially his prayer to God. Despite the fact that he thinks his intentions are good, it's obvious that he isn't a good man. Vince is an absolute maniac who stalked his family, killed his friend, and he just outright assaults his wife. He's a man with violent impulses. He grows jealous when he sees Della hanging out with his family, and he tries to do whatever it takes to get his way. LaPaglia did an amazing job portraying this character. Frank is also one of the best characters in this movie. Vince keeps sending Frank letters after every kill, saying that organized crime is dying. He believes that it's some kind of organization behind the kills and wants a good scoop to put in the papers. He's glorifying the gangster killer's actions and he's very upfront about it. What's even funnier is that when he and Vince finally meet, his little world comes crashing down when he finds out it's just one guy. Now he changes his mind and wants nothing to do with Vince and wants to forget that the meeting ever happened. He's just an absolute snob, and I love Coyote's performance.
I'm gonna call the police, you understand that?
You don't have to see me. You don't ever have to see me again. Just send me the money. Just send me the money. I'm over at the Harrison Hotel.
I don't want to know that. Listen, we never met, you understand me? We never met. And if you really... I mean, if you did... Just send me the notes. Just the notes. Frank! Just the notes! Frank, come back! Frank!
At the end of the movie, Vince brings his son Scotty to the Harrison Hotel and recites some kind of prayer before he tries to kill him. Dell and Bridger eventually make it to the hotel and shoot down the door, tossing some flash grenades in the room, and manage to gun down Vince and kill him, putting an end to the murders. This scene is probably my favorite in the whole movie. It's a short and simple shootout, and the overall build-up to it was really good. I'm having a bit of trouble trying to convey how I feel about this movie. Even though it's labeled as a crime action movie, there are really only 2 action sequences, and both are rather brief, but a lot of elements manage to make up for it. Frank's narration throughout certain parts of the movie, combined with the music, do a good job of setting the film's tone. While I do think Dell isn't that much of a developed or interesting character, I like him enough as a protagonist. Though the performances of LaPaglia and Coyote respectively are the best in the movie. Keeper of the City is a fairly simple movie with a simple plot. There isn't a scene that drags on for too long, and all of the actors perform their characters well. The pacing is pretty good, and that's really it. For a made-for-TV movie, it's honestly not that bad. It's nothing special or phenomenal, but for what it's worth, it's a good movie. Overall, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. Thank you all for watching. I am Neo-Javelin, and I will see you all again in my next review. Goodbye for now.